we're going to find out that 58-year-old men are 58-year-old men no matter what they look like. And Jake Paul is a 28-year-old athlete in the prime of his life.
It looks like this fight is clearly staged. Tyson had the opportunity to finish it with a knockout, but instead, he just circled around and didn't take any real action.
Actually take a chance at Mike Tyson not being able to do what he used to.
Joe Rogan absolutely shredded the idea of a Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul rematch. He didn't just criticize it, he obliterated it, set it on fire, and watched the ashes scatter. Sure, we all respect Tyson for his legendary career, but after this whole scripted fight debacle, that respect is starting to feel a little shaky.
It was scripted. Everyone is talking about this on X, and the script was actually leaked on X a few years ago. Now this script has went viral. Let's see how accurate it was. Opening the bell rings, Tyson is showing flashes of his old form, which actually happened. As soon as the bell went, Mike Tyson came out with that head movement, pushing forward. Immediately he stalks forward with his signature bob and...
Even Turkey Illick, the guy with more money than sense, took a shot at mocking Tyson, throwing out a $700 million offer for a rematch. It was like saying, if Tyson's ready to sell out, let's see his price tag. And after all that, both Tyson and Jake Paul quietly backed away, as if they suddenly realized they had more important things to focus on.
But you know, you got to take that payday. I mean, what did he make out of that fight? He probably made $10 million.
Yeah, and Jake Paul's very smart, man. Like he gets guys that he's bigger than.
Younger
the only time
than.
he fought another boxer his size was Tom Fury, and he lost.
No need to wonder. Joe Rogan stepped in to lay down the cold, hard truth about why this rematch is never going to happen.
What other sport would we let a 58-year-old man compete other than golf?
Right.
But, you know what I'm saying? Like, why are we letting this happen?
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, but he's made for it, man. Like, he's made for
Mike
it.
is?
Yeah, I mean, it's.
Listen,
Dude, he's perfectly capable of knocking.
It stings even more because, let's face it, Tyson, the man who built his career on knockouts, looked like he was sleepwalking in the ring on November 15th. His punches barely landed, his footwork was non-existent, and his whole demeanor screamed, "I'd rather be anywhere else." The real question is, was Tyson truly out of shape, or was he just not giving it his all? Fans couldn't help but wonder if the entire thing was scripted, and honestly, who could blame them? This wasn't the Tyson we've respected for years. This was a Tyson who looked like he'd rather be sipping tea than throwing punches.
Tyson versus Paul script was fully leaked all the way down to the bow Jake did in round 8. This profile on X posted it anonymously one day before the fight, explaining everything before deleting.
Enter Joe Rogan, who didn't waste a second calling out the whole charade. He went all in, mocking Tyson's sluggish punches and turtle-paced movements. Rogan didn't hold back, flat out labeling the fight a con job. If Tyson could throw a fight without even putting Jake Paul on the mat, why not do it again? According to Rogan, Tyson wasn't there to win, he was there for the paycheck. And when you think about it, it all adds up. Tyson didn't look like a man trying to reclaim his glory days, he looked like a man just punching the clock to cash out. Forget legacy, this was all about the money.
Ask your opinion about last night. Did you stay up to watch Mike Tyson and Jake Paul?
I actually did. I actually watched it, and I felt, while watching it, I felt disgusted at Jake Paul for putting this together, knowing that Tyson was 58 years old. See, I'm a fighter myself, and I once tried coming back at 48 years old, and my body just shut down.
And that's when things took an intriguing turn. Saudi Arabia's General Entertainment Authority, led by Turkey Illick, stepped in with a staggering $700 million offer for a rematch.
His Excellency Turkey Al-Sheikh, he wants to see the rematch between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul, and he's now offering Mike Tyson $700 million.
That's not just pocket change. That's the kind of offer that makes you forget about legacy and start counting how many mansions you can buy. Sure, Tyson's a legend, but for $700 million, I'd probably step into the ring with Jake Paul too. Who cares about tarnishing your reputation? Money like that doesn't grow on trees.
When you're gonna fight a 28-year-old like Jake Paul against Tyson, who is a legend, he's a national treasure, a world treasure. I felt a little disgusted. Not on Mike Tyson. I feel bad for Tyson, but you know what? I'm proud of Tyson. But Jake Paul, hey, If you want to fight Zurdo right now, let's do it. And he will not.
And then there's Jake Paul. Oh, Jake, the guy who's turned questionable fights and viral stunts into a thriving career. Love him or hate him, one thing's clear. Jake knows how to grab attention. He's not winning boxing matches with skill. He's winning with drama, clicks, and spectacle. He's basically a walking reality show. And let's be honest, that's why he's still in the spotlight. When the Tyson rematch fell through, Jake Paul came out on top. Why? Because he never had to step into the ring with someone who could actually challenge him. Instead, he gets to ride the wave of controversy without ever being tested. It's genius, really. Why risk getting knocked out when you can play the victim of a cancelled fight and keep the hype alive?
Such an incredible fight and bring it to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia.
It is not something to surprise on. We have a lot of fights.
As for Joe Rogan, his opinion on Jake Paul's boxing career couldn't be clearer. It's not about sportsmanship. It's about views, headlines, and drama. To Rogan, Jake isn't in it for the competition. He's playing the fame game. Why risk a real fight with Tyson when you can keep the hype alive without exposing your lack of skill? For Jake, dodging the rematch is just another way to keep the clicks rolling in. Why risk getting knocked out or humiliated when you can keep up the facade of being a champion? On the other hand, Mike Tyson's legacy, once defined by fear and respect in the ring, seems to be slipping away. In his prime, Tyson was the epitome of dominance, a force no one dared to challenge. Now, that once unshakable reputation feels like it's fading with every questionable move.
Like, people don't understand what a champ he was. Like, he wasn't just the heavyweight champion of the world. He was an executioner.
From 1985 to 1990, Tyson cemented his place in history as the youngest heavyweight champion at just 20 years old. At his peak, he was obliterating opponents with devastating knockouts that left fans in awe. His raw power was unmatched, and his mere presence was enough to make even seasoned fighters hesitate before stepping into the ring. But now, in the twilight of his career, Tyson's decline is impossible to ignore. The man who once instilled fear in every opponent is now sidestepping rematches and steering clear of public scrutiny over his recent performances.
Wasn't the Tyson-Jake fight, wasn't that amazing?
Yeah. It's amazing they got paid so much money for that.
25 million and 40 million?
I think 20 and...
Take, for example, his refusal to rematch Jake Paul after their first fight, which many believe was more about spectacle than real competition. Tyson has seemingly shut the door on any future bouts. What does that do to his legacy? Joe Rogan doesn't hold back on this issue. He's gone on record calling Tyson's reluctance to rematch Paul a betrayal to the fans who once revered him. In a 2024 podcast, Rogan openly criticized Tyson, accusing him of prioritizing comfort over the challenge of redemption in the ring. He even claimed that Tyson's refusal had tarnished his once untouchable undefeated legacy, which remained intact until his loss to Buster Douglas in 1990. Tyson's actions now suggest that he's more focused on avoiding risk than on reclaiming the glory of his past.
A legitimate boxer.
A legitimate boxer, yes. People mocked me when I was saying that before, but now I think people are coming.
Tyson's hesitation to return to the ring has left fans questioning the reasons behind it. Sure, age plays a role. At 58 years old, it's only natural for an athlete to start worrying about health and injury risks. But it's not just about age. Tyson's health has been a concern for years, with the toll of hard living and injuries taking a significant toll on his body. Many believe that Tyson's reluctance to rematch isn't only due to his physical limitations, but also a fear of how he's perceived. He understands the risks, but more than that, he's aware of how fragile his reputation has become.
A lot of things about this.
You're just a big fight fan.
Yeah.
You love boxing.
Yeah.
Yes. Why? Where did that come from?
From the youngest generation.
Would another poor performance, or worse, a knockout at the hands of Jake Paul, irreparably damage Tyson's legacy? In a way, Tyson might be terrified of confirming what everyone is already whispering, that he's no longer the baddest man on the planet. Why would Tyson, a man who's already made a fortune, risk his health and his legacy for a payday that massive? It's clear that Tyson's decision was driven by one thing: money. At 58, he likely doesn't need the cash to survive, but with such a huge sum on the table, it's hard to say no, even if it comes at the cost of his reputation. Saudi Arabia, under the leadership of Turki Elik, has been investing heavily in bringing major sports events to the country, and they were ready to back Tyson's potential return.
It is not something is surprise. We have a lot of fights before, and in the kingdom we are focusing in a lot of.
Saudi Arabia has been working to establish itself as a global leader in entertainment, from Formula One to boxing. With Tyson's name still holding weight, despite his punches no longer carrying the same power, the $700 million offer wasn't just about the fight. It was about reviving Tyson's presence in the public eye, making a statement, and drawing global attention to Saudi Arabia. This fight would have been a spectacle, but what is the personal cost for Tyson? By accepting such an offer, Tyson may be sacrificing everything he once stood for. In the 80s and 90s, Tyson was driven by a desire for titles, respect, and the pure love of competition. Today, it appears his priorities have shifted, and whether he admits it or not, he's trading legacy for cash.
He's now offering Mike Tyson $700 million to knock out Jake Paul. And it's all coming from...
Sure, many fighters have made similar moves. Ali did it, Floyd Mayweather did it, but Tyson's situation feels different. He wasn't just about the money. He was a street kid who fought his way to the top of the world. So, when someone like Tyson takes a multi-million-dollar deal for a rematch with Jake Paul, it feels like a betrayal of everything he worked for in his prime. This whole situation paints a grim picture of Tyson's post-boxing career. Instead of solidifying his legacy with meaningful challenges, Tyson risks being remembered not for his brutal knockout power, but for cashing in on gimmicky fights. The man who once ruled the boxing world with an iron fist is now just another player in the spectacle-driven entertainment industry. And let's be honest, that's not how people wanted to remember Mike Tyson. He was supposed to be the icon, the fighter who left it all in the ring, the guy who struck fear into his opponents. But now, Tyson's legacy is in danger of being tainted by decisions that scream money grab instead of champion.